First of all, let's bring the head coach of the Bulldogs into the fray here, Coach Mike Houston. And, Coach, the first thing that I wanted to do is, before you completely put it away,
right,
for the sense of public consumption, just walk me through Wofford, if you will, and all the different things that had to do with that whole thing. That's how I wanted to start things off tonight.
It was a roller coaster of a game, and really was exactly the kind of game that I had expected and the kind that just anticipated from playing similar teams over the years, and I felt like it was a good matchup, and so felt like it would be low scoring, felt like it would be very, very close, and felt like that we would have to play very, very well to have a chance, very, very well to have a chance to win. And, pleased with the way our kids competed. We had a good early drive, didn't get anything out of it. We're able to get a turnover and get a field goal out of the next drive, and really just the game kind of went back and forth all day. Had a great stop there at the end by our defense to give us the ball back with about 2:45 on the clock in a 2-minute situation, no timeouts. And just for our offense to execute the 2-minute offense the way they did at the end of the ball game there with a 16-play drive to give us the last play from the 3 with 1 second left. So much went right there late in that game, and you just had the feeling, hey, we are getting ready to pull off a huge road win. And so obviously with not being able to get the call there at the end, not being able to get in. A lot of disappointment, on our team, because it was one that they were very hungry for, and really, really played hard to give themselves that opportunity. So, it was a tough ride home, and a tough beginning of the day Sunday. But I thought the kids bounced back probably better than the coaches do, and they came out and they were great spirits Sunday night in spite of everything, and really helped us put everything behind us going into this week.
What steps did you take after the ball game as far as things that, did you send film in? Did you have discussions? What kind of things? Obviously, it was a controversial thing.
Yeah.
You have to be careful about what you say,
Right.
certainly publicly. So just curious what you did after the game with regards to particularly that last play.
Well, the outcome's not going to change. I mean, once the call's made, the call's made. Obviously we looked at the film a lot on Sunday, and it is very, very close. And I don't fault the officials at all. I mean, I think that they did their job. They made the call that they thought was correct in that situation. And we have always experienced very solid officiating we've had a lot of these officials in the South Atlantic Conference. Jack Childress, the director of officials, was the director in the South Atlantic Conference. I have a great relationship with him. So, I've always had confidence in the officiating we were going to get, and still do. I did talk to Jack on Monday, and I didn't have to send any film in. He looked at it repeatedly, and, he's always been someone that I consider, a supporter and a friend, as well as someone that we work with. He took me kind of through what the official told him he saw, and we both agreed that what was relayed to him and what he felt is kind of what you can see how that occurred on film, and at the end of the day, it's something that we've put to rest and moved on from.
You've had different styles of offense to
Right.
defend in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
The Gardner-Webb game was a certain way. That guy was going to stand back there and try to throw on you all
Right.
day. They ran very little, and you didn't allow them to run all that
Right.
much. This past week was a quite a bit different way you had
Right.
to defend. So talk about the differences in what you had to have your team do from Gardner-Webb to Wofford.
Yeah, and it's just a completely different mindset in the way you got to prepare your team. Against Gardner-Webb, you're sitting there where it's a fairly base zone running game. So you just got to do a good job with being disciplined with your eyes. And then, we really were able to, bring a big pressure package into that game with, the way their drop back passing game was. And so you're preparing for just a lot of stuff in the passing game. And then you go the dead opposite this week where you're basic in your pass defense, trying to create as many ways to change up your base run fundamentals to give them different looks for the triple option scheme that you're going to see, and you're honing in on tackling your responsibility and playing fundamental base defense, and it's just as far polar opposites as you can get between those two teams.
And so then now with Charlotte, how does that compare? I mean, are you flipping it on? Are you 180 in it again?
Not completely, because Khalif Phillips, the tailback from Charlotte's a great running back, and they do have a solid running attack. We're going to have to play the run very, very well. Matt Johnson, their quarterback, he's not what we faced last week as far as a running quarterback, but he is mobile enough to cause some problems. So you've got to account for him in the run game. So you have some of that carryover with tackle your responsibility in the run game fundamentals. And at the same time, they're very dynamic in the passing game. Austin Dukes is probably the fastest receiver we've seen this year outside of the Florida State game. So those two skill kids are really, really dynamic, Phillips and Dukes, that we're going to see on Saturday. So really they're kind of a more balanced run-pass team than what we've seen the last 2 weeks.
Let's talk about.
House has been serving locals and visitors alike for the last 20 years. We have our crispy whole flounder. We have the seared ahi tuna. You name it, in the seafood business, we have it.
Be sure to stop by the Tiger and Leaf Lounge whenever you visit our locations. We have many frozen and specialty drinks, awesome margaritas. One of my favorites is the Wapu Punch.
If you don't like it down in the historic district, come over to James Island, sit on the Intercoastal Waterway. It is an unbelievable view where it's southern seafood at sensible prices and a darn good time.
But how many, obviously the ring ceremony is a huge, huge deal on Friday, right. Coach. How many guys are involved in that with you guys, with your football? Some of you guys already have them.
Yeah, but we've got some of the seniors that already have their rings, and we've got 10 to 12 of our guys that are getting their ring Friday. Some of them are underclassmen that are graduating this May. We'll finish out their eligibility, getting a master's degree or whatever. But you know what, we met the other day. We talked through everything, went over the schedule with them, trying to make it work with our Friday schedule, because they have a ceremony middle of the day where they actually get the ring, and then a ceremony late afternoon, early evening, where they have a photo deal with the big ring there on campus with their family and stuff like that. So trying to make that work where they will get to do everything and still prepare for Saturday's game. So obviously a big day for them.
Yeah, it's a big weekend too, because at this school, maybe more than in a lot of other instances, they've probably gone without seeing the parents for maybe longer than your average college student would be. I know that the Knobs,
especially this freshman.
Yeah,
the freshmen really look to this weekend because it's the first time the parents come down and they get to get off campus, and so it's a big weekend for them. And so we're expecting a pretty good sized crowd for the game on Saturday, and excited about being back at home for it.
The thing that I mentioned before the break, and the thing that I wanted to get the coach's thoughts on, was the process of self-scouting. And obviously, with as much film as coaches watch on the other team,
right.
You, for example, would probably pick up relatively quickly if an opposing offense always seemed to snap the football on what would appear 1 or 2 or first sound or whatever the case may be. So you wouldn't want to do those things that are predictable.
Right.
And so how do you play with that sort of thing? I mean, again, you can drive yourself nuts with all these things, I'm sure.
Well, the first thing is, you really can't pick up on anything audio from film. You might be able to pick up something like that from calling around, and we're always calling people that have just played, our opponents, because we have friends all over the coaching ranks, and people are always calling us, asking us about, teams' tendencies and things they picked up there. The things we always try to, I know what some of our tendencies are just from, I know what they are. That doesn't mean I'm going to change them because, obviously in certain situations we're going to do certain things. We do try to be very cautious about getting into a rut, with our calls and stuff on both sides of the football. We always do an end-of-season evaluation to kind of look at what we do, and And we have, a couple of GAs will check stuff when we want to check things throughout the season. But, all that being said, it is something that you're always looking at. It's the thing that we're studying this week with Charlotte. Do they have tendencies with this or that or the other? And you can always find a few things, and every once in a while you'll find a golden nugget that's really a big key tip for your team going into a ball game. So it's something that goes on everywhere. And the other thing you get into is all the signals, and people trying to steal signals and different ways you code things. And we've got 3 different ways to call offensive and defensive plays, and so it changes up all throughout the game. We change signalers all throughout the game, and if you look, there's 3 guys signaling on this. One of them's hot, 2 of them are dead, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into trying to hide stuff from your opponent.
Style, selection, service, quality, value. See what everyone is talking about. Ashley Furniture Home Store.
With Charlotte, they're coached by Brad Gilbert. Any ties? You know the guy?
Brad Lambert?
Sorry, Brad Lambert. I said Gilbert.
I don't know him real well. We may have met once. Jim Grobe, I knew him a little bit. He was the head coach at Wake Forest when Brad was there as the DC. And Brad does have a great reputation as a defensive mind, and I think has done a good job and been very thorough with the way he's built that program. And I would imagine he'll be there for a while.
That is not an easy thing for a coach to do. Would be to start a program.
No.
That's
you have
like
nothing.
Absolutely nothing. And then you've got to convince guys to come and practice for a year and no play. But
they had a couple things. They had money. They had a lot of money invested into that program from the ground up, and that always helps because money builds facilities. The other thing they have a very high enrollment. I think over 20,000 students, and then it's in downtown Charlotte, which is not a bad place either. So there's lots of positives there that they had to build on.
Since 2002, the lottery has helped award more than 1 million scholarships. So when you play, you're not just taking a chance. You're also giving one.